I got some news for you, it's gonna be that way. I got no time for you, cause you're a wild child from another galaxy's fun to see. Don't want no pressure, no tears and no pain. I can't allow you to make my life the same. Get me down, cause I got to rock. Crank up the beat, get it really, really hot. Crank it up, won't you crank it? Crank it up, won't you crank it? Crank it up, won't you crank it? Crank it up for you. Now it's my time and I've come along the way. Sometimes I feel like you're gonna have to pay. Don't come around unless you're gonna break it down. I am the galaxy's wait to see. I'm in behind till I touch the freaking sky. I see the lust that's in your eyes. I wanna play so rock me brain and shock. Pick up the beat, get it really, really hot. Crank it up, won't you crank it? Crank it up, won't you crank it? Crank it up, won't you crank it? Crank it up for you. Just waste my life away. I got some news for you, it's gonna be that way. I got no time for you, cause you're a wild child from another galaxy, it's fun to see. Don't want no pressure, no tears and no pain. I can't allow for you to make my life the same. Don't get me down, cause I got to rock. Crank up beat, cause it's really, really hot. Crank it up, won't you crank it? 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 Crank it up, crank it up. Break it up, break me up, break it up, break me up, break it up for you.
Hey guys, how's it going? Kevin here. This is the final video of this mixer I've been working on since, well, I picked it up March 23rd in the morning, Monday morning, and I've been working on it ever since. It's Saturday night now, and it's pretty much done for the most part. Normally I don't have time to do this kind of stuff. We run a busy studio, but in the last 2 weeks I've been shut down because of the COVID thing, just like everybody else. So I'm bored, had some time in my hands, and got this piece of garbage. And it's actually it's a nice board now. I'm actually falling in love with it. So the mixer is pretty much finished, except for a couple of small details that I still have to work out. What's that? Oh yeah, function lights here. These 4 switches are supposed to have lights in them. The lights are burnt out, so I have to replace those still. Also, channel 24 is dead. Not been able to get that one working at all. The last 5 channels on the board were a problem. All the other channels I had no problem getting them going. Just the 5 last channels were broken. I fixed 4 of them, so 4 of them are actually good, and the only one that's bad out of all of them now is channel 24. All the other channels I cleaned up. I sprayed all the potentiometers throughout to get rid of all the crackles and that sort of thing, and then tested each channel strip individually to make sure it's working to spec, and then installed them one by one, checked them one at a time until we get to this point here. What else did I do here? Oh yes, so I added a couple of things when I renovated the mixer. So all the bridge lights were burnt out. They had, I guess, 3-watt incandescent bulbs or something like that. 12 of them soldered into circuit boards. So even if you cut the wires off the solder joints, they were kind of glued in the circuit board. So I couldn't reuse them or couldn't pull them out to replace them. So what I did is I just ran an RGBW strip underneath the VU meters and ran a wire down inside. And so what's normally not on this console is this new little switch here that I've added in the bottom of the patch bay. And what that does is it actually, you can use that to change the colors depending on what your mood is and what you're kind of mixing. So I'll just take you through them. So you got a red, you got a blue, green, and white. And there you go. So you can switch between them, and and then there's obviously off if you don't want them to be on at all. So I mean, that's basically how that works. That's pretty cool. So I'm going to probably tie the same 20-volt circuit from here. Also runs these lights, the function lights. So it's a simple matter of getting some LEDs and putting them inside of these things so they turn on when you switch them. Got to work that out. You can't get these parts anymore, so I got to figure something out around that to try and make that work. Anyway, a couple of things about this board. When I got it, it was familiar to me because I'd mixed on 1 or 2 of them in my lifetime. So I was sort of familiar of it, but there's something that was weird about it, and I couldn't quite put my finger on it until I started actually digging into it and looking at the schematic diagrams. And there's a couple of things. Whoever owned this board initially did significant modifications to it, like unbelievable modifications. Somebody had time on their hands. So I'm just going to take you through what they did, which involved a lot of drilling holes. So I think it's something like 78 holes, extra holes were drilled in the console. So this row of blue knobs right here were not part of the original console. So Buddy drilled 2 holes in each channel rail and inserted these knobs. And what they are is they're actually a 3rd and 4th send. Because the board only has 2 sends initially, and I guess it wasn't enough. So he added 2 more sends to the board. And in addition to these knobs, he's also added 2 knobs up here on the top of the master rail for like the overall send levels for channel 3 and 4. Those are routed to the back of the mixer, and auxiliary 1 and 2 have now become send 3 and 4 outputs. So that's the extent of that modification. Moving on, down the master section right here, there's 4 extra switches he's put in here that are not in the original configuration. I've yet to figure out what they're for. I think one of them changes the headphone routing. The other ones, I still don't know what they do. Still working on that one. Hasn't interfered with the board's operation. The board operates just fine, but I still don't know what these switches do. The other modification that was done is you drilled 24 holes up here and put in these little 3-way switches, which are actually line level switches. So when you patch a line level input to the back, you have some modicum of control over your level, almost like a DI box basically. So he's installed one of those on each channel. Each one of these switches has an associated handmade circuit board. So the guy had to wire up 24 of those to install them. I've included a pic of the circuit board in one of the previous videos. That's worth looking at. It's quite an extensive mod. It must have taken the guy a lot of time just to make the circuit boards and then mount them and then wire them all in. Real pain in the ass. So he's done a really good job. Like normally you wouldn't be able to tell, aside from the fact that there's no labels on these switches and knobs that he's upgraded. Like you don't know what they are because there's no label on them. So the guy who did it knows what it is. Now I'm becoming accustomed to it and starting to figure it out. That pretty much covers most of that. So what other customizations? Yeah, there's basically when I got the board, there was just this piece of plywood that had been covering up this whole thing. And so when I got the board, I had no idea that the patch bay was actually still in here. So when I took this cover off, the patch bay was there, kind of just sitting there, not even screwed in or anything. So I was kind of happy about that because I was considering actually building one for it, and now I don't have to because the original one is here. which is great. What else was wrong? Oh yeah, the oscillator. There's a built-in oscillator, and it was broken, wasn't going. So I found a bad resistor, replaced the bad resistor, and the switches were all a bit murky. So I sprayed the switches, and now it's back on again. So now we have the 10 kilohertz, 1 kilohertz, and 100 hertz oscillator for setting up your VU meters and stuff for recording. So that's pretty cool. Other than that, board's perfect. All the channels check out, all the functions work, all the inputs, outputs, etc., etc., etc. have all been gone through. Gee, I spent like a week pulling this thing apart, cleaning every channel strip, and I've done nothing else since. Happy COVID days. Anyway, may as well do a little demo. So I got my guitar plugged into channel 2 and 3 here, and I'll just give you a little sample of what the board sounds like. So I'll switch on channels 2 and 3 here, and basically on my guitar I've got 2 jacks going in. So I've got a 1/4 inch that runs from my piezo, and I have an XLR that actually runs from this little Fender pickup that's mounted here, and I'm running those into 2 channels. Everything's mono right now. I only have a single line running from the mixer to my system, so we don't have any stereo feed or anything right now. It's just mono. So just let me strap this thing on, and I'll give you a little demonstration of what the thing sounds like. Play along to the sirens.